Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I put up a video just a couple days ago about Mackenzie McKee and her book that came out on the 19th, I think it was. It's called Straightening My Crown, Conquering My Royal Mistakes. She put this book out, and before she put the book out, there was some excerpts that came out, really disturbing excerpts, telling us about some essay that she dealt with as a child. One incident was a boy that came to her mom's daycare. Her mom ran a daycare, like an in-home daycare from my understanding, and he was a boy that was 8 years older than her. Mackenzie was 4. She was 4 years old, and this boy SA'd her. Another boy was her neighbor from, if memory serves me correctly, he was her neighbor. And a similar incident happened where he SA'd her. She didn't realize that it was wrong at the time because she was so young, but she later on realized that it was wrong, you know, and she said it caused her a lot of problems growing up. It made her feel like her parents looked at her a certain way and that they was closer to her siblings because she was damaged at this point. She was ruined. So that was one thing that we learned would be in this book before the book came out. Now the book is out, and we're hearing a little bit more about things in the book and experiences that Mackenzie went through, some being before she was ever on Teen Mom, and some actually being while she was in between Teen Mom 3 and Teen Mom OG, but after she was already well known from being on Teen Mom 3. And she even had to use a different name during one of these situations because she did not want the tabloids to find out about what happened. So we're going to talk about it. One of the things that we find out in this book is that Mackenzie was held against her will in a mental hospital while pregnant with Bronx back in 2016. So also, I do want to give a trigger warning. We're going to be talking about suicidal thoughts. So if that is something that triggers you, you may want to close out of the video or just brace yourself going forward for what we're going to talk about. So in the book, Mackenzie tells us that she was actually sent to a mental health facility when she was pregnant with her third son, Bronx, back in 2016. She states that she was at an all-time low and was severely depressed, and she felt hopeless. She also confessed that she was considering suicide at the time. In the book, she wrote, "Every day was a battle with dark thoughts and emotions. Nothing in me wanted to be alive. One day, I text Josh that I just didn't want to be alive anymore. So he told my parents, and of course, they were all afraid that I was about to make a bad decision." Mackenzie said that she was sitting in her car when 2 police officers approached her, made her get out of the car. She was handcuffed, and right as she was being handcuffed, Josh pulled up next to them. And at first, she didn't realize it, that Josh was a part of this. She thought, oh great, my husband's here, he can help me. But when he started talking to the police, it dawned on her that he was in on it, that he was a part of this. She wrote in the book, "He was the one who called the cops on me and told them that I was threatening to commit suicide. I was livid and started screaming at both Josh and the police." So Mackenzie, as we know from watching her on the show, she has type 1 diabetes. She said at this very moment, her blood sugar level was at a life-threatening high level. Which also could contribute to her behaving kind of erratically, in a way that she wouldn't normally behave with her blood sugar being that high. She says she looked down at her almost 8-month belly and suddenly got scared for her baby. In the book, she wrote, "I pleaded with the cops to let me go home by telling them I wasn't going to hurt myself. I tried explaining that I'm a diabetic and I could die without my insulin. But they completely ignored me and handcuffed me before throwing me in the back seat. The next thing I knew, the cops were taking me to the hospital, prepping to take me to the mental health institution. Sadly, the more I screamed for medical attention, the more the cops sat around in a circle in the hospital room and laughed. Finally, I let out the biggest scream of my life. 'Someone give me insulin now or my baby will die.' The cops stood up and slammed me down on a bed nearby. One had his hand over my mouth in order to shut me up, while 2 others handcuffed me on my back, making it nearly impossible for me to breathe. I closed my eyes and I knew this was going to be the way my baby's life ended. Now, Mackenzie writes that when Josh saw the cops handcuffing her and taking her off, he realized that he made a mistake. But there was nothing that he could do to stop it at that point. They went ahead and they took her off. So he was doing everything in his power to get her free. But there really wasn't anything that he could do. Mackenzie wrote, as they escorted me to the cop car, I looked over to see my husband in his truck 4 hours later, watching his pregnant wife's hands and feet being cuffed. Mackenzie had already appeared on 16 and Pregnant and Teen Mom 3. So when all of this went down and she was admitted into this mental hospital, she actually used a different name because she didn't want the tabloids to find out that she was there. She said, I still couldn't believe this was legal. I was weak, lonely, and felt like I wouldn't ever be able to rise above this mess. I even told them my name was Sarah James because I didn't want the teenagers who worked there to recognize me and sell the story to the tabloids. With my luck, I knew the tabloids could really twist this into something even worse than it was, as they're good at doing. Mackenzie said that her doctor told her that she was very lucky that her baby survived this ordeal. Brox was born in August of 2016. So that's very shocking to hear. You know, when you think about a situation, Mackenzie going through a lot at that point, I think when she got pregnant with Brox, her and her husband, they was having a lot of marital problems. Or they've had a lot of marital problems. They've just had problems, you know, when they were dating, and then when they got married, they had a lot of marital problems. So if memory serves me correctly, they were going through some tough times when she was pregnant. I don't remember exactly how far along she was, but I remember her, it was either Facebook or Twitter, where she was putting things out about Josh and how she was having to go hunt her husband down. So if memory serves me correctly, and it was around the same time, that could be why she was having such a hard time. She was struggling so much. So whatever the case was, she said that she was feeling depressed. Also, on that specific night, her blood sugars was really high, and that could also cause her to act a little erratic. So Josh, you know, he did what he thought would probably be the smart thing to do. Your spouse is threatening to commit suicide, call her family, see if they can help, and if nothing else, call the cops. Probably in his mind thinking the cops may show up, maybe they'll talk to her, and it'll calm her down. He probably had no idea how they was going to treat her, that they was going to cuff her hands, cuff her feet, take her in, and then not listen to her when she's telling them, I'm diabetic, I need my insulin. God forbid if something would have happened to Mackenzie or her baby, that would have been devastating, and that would have been a lot for Josh to have to live with, knowing that he was the one that called the cops to help. You know, he called the cops looking for some help, and they came and they just took his pregnant wife away, and then he didn't even listen to the fact that she was a diabetic and her levels were high and that she needed her insulin. It doesn't say in this clip that I've gotten how long she was there, but I've already made the decision. I'm going to get the book and I will do a deep dive into it, and I will pull all of the shocking stories out, and we'll go over them more in depth on my channel. So if you guys want to be a part of that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Also, I have a few more things that I've heard about the book that I'm going to look into a little bit more before the book comes, and I'm going to be making videos on those as well. There's a few other things that I know I want to cover. Mackenzie talks about when she got the call to be on Teen Mom and what she was doing at that moment, how the people in her hometown reacted to her being on Teen Mom. Also, another big one is she finally reveals what really happened behind the scenes of her 2015 sex tape scandal. So yeah, she finally talks about that for the first time ever. So I'll be doing a video about that very shortly with more details about that. And another thing, you know, I made the video about what she dealt with as a child when she was 4, being abused. One thing that I read today that I did not know is that she actually still sees these boys, the boys who did this to her. She actually still runs into them from time to time when she goes back to her hometown. So that has to be tough for her to still run into them and see them and wonder, do they know that I remember? Which if they get this book, or if they read anything about Mackenzie, they're going to realize that she remembers a lot of what went on, right? So we'll have more of these little stories coming up about things that Mackenzie puts out in her upcoming book, and I'll be putting those stories out there. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts about this situation in the comment section below. Mackenzie McKee, suicidal, going through a deep dark depression, her husband calling the cops on her, and them putting her into a mental hospital where even Josh had a hard time getting her out, and they completely ignored the fact that her blood sugar was high and that she felt her baby's life was in danger. They ignored it, you know, handcuffed her feet and her hands, and treated her like she was just some sort of criminal. Leave me your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Like I said, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.